So coming out of high school, you committed to Oregon before your senior year. What was the reason you committed to Oregon?
Yeah, so Oregon, I grew up in Eugene, Oregon, had always been a Duck fan, and really thought I was going to be a baseball player growing up. So was playing baseball for most of my life, and got an offer from Northern Arizona, Portland State, and Montana State. And so I was deciding between those schools, and then Oregon came around late my senior year. So I knew right when they came around I was going to go there.
So did you play both football and baseball?
I played baseball, basketball, and football. So all three in high school.
So which was, before you offers and all that was involved, just growing up, having fun, which one did you enjoy the most?
That's a good question. I would say probably baseball. I think baseball, just being out there with your friends, having fun. It was kind of relaxed, and I thought that was the best environment to be with the friends and have fun.
And so when you got to Eugene on the campus, over the summer, what were your goals in the off-season going into your freshman year?
Yes, going into my freshman year, I wanted to master the playbook. I wanted to have a good understanding so that when I was able to go in during practice, I'd know what I was doing. And kind of weird because you didn't really have a spring ball, so you go right into fall camp, and felt like I did a good job in the off-season getting prepared for that.
So going in, you were second string quarterback. When did you get like a feeling inside that like you really thought you could be a starter?
Well, that's another good question. I would say that when I first got to Oregon, I was the 6th quarterback on the roster. And so through fall camp, I kind of earned my way up the chart, and our offensive coordinator grabbed me and told me, Justin, you're going to be the second string quarterback this year. And I think that's the point where I was kind of confident, and I kind of realized, maybe I belong out here, because it was just kind of surprising to happen so quickly.
Were you there when Mariota was there, or did you just miss him?
Unfortunately not. I was a couple years behind him.
Okay. And so your first game that you started was against Washington. I heard an interview clip of when you were a Charger and you heard you were going in, you just had a big smile on your face. Watching an interview on that, is that kind of the same feeling you got before you were starting?
It definitely was the same feeling. Unfortunately, we didn't have quite the year that we wanted that year. We went 4-8, and kind of struggled that year. And so we lost a couple before that game, and they told me, Justin, you're going to go play against Washington, who at the time was 5th in the country, and they have an incredible offense and defense. And it was a really cool opportunity. I wish that we would have won that game or had been closer. But looking back, it was a lot of fun.
And the next game was against Cal, and I was looking. It looked like a competitive game, 52-49 overtime. What was kind of emotionally, was that like a roller coaster the whole game?
Yeah, that was a tough game. That was another fun one that I wish we could have won. But to go toe-to-toe with Cal, and especially go into overtime and have a chance to win it late, it was a lot of fun. And another one of those games that you kind of realize, you belong out here, and we played pretty well, but just unfortunately kind of fell short.
So after you had a great freshman year, and I just want to know what it was like. You went sophomore year, started really well, unfortunately got hurt. What was that like emotionally?
It was really tough. Anytime you get hurt, you feel like you let your team down, and you have to watch and you have to do as much as you can to help the team win. And it's just not the same as being out there on the field. So I did everything I could to rehab, get my collarbone fixed. But it was definitely tough for those couple of weeks.
And once you got back, though, first thing you did was make sure that your team got to a bowl game that year. What was that like? You went 4-8, didn't make a bowl game your freshman year. How was that to push your team and get to a bowl game?
Yeah, I thought that was huge for us, especially to go 4-8, and Oregon has had such a long tradition of going to a bowl games and being such a great team that we fell short that year, and to come back the next year, go to a bowl game, I thought that was a huge win for us.
So we're going to jump a little bit after your junior year. This is one of my favorite questions that I'm going to ask. Why did you stay for your senior year? People thought you were going to be the first quarterback taken after your junior year, but you decided to stay for senior year?
That's a great question. I get asked that a lot, and it's one of my favorites to talk about because I feel like the team that we had at Oregon was so special, and I didn't want to give up on those guys. I didn't want to move on from them and finish what we started, especially like we talked about earlier, going 4-8 to going 7-5 and to going 9-4. We felt like we were on an upward trajectory, and to set out there and ultimately what we did our senior year of winning the Rose Bowl and going 12-2, that's what we set out to do, and I was really glad to be a part of it.
So throughout your whole college career, do you have one like the toughest game to play in, or do you have like a toughest moment that you had to fight through?
Yeah, I would say probably our senior year. We played Washington State at home, and we were down a couple points, and I think there was 50 seconds left on the clock, and we got the ball late and had to march down 80 yards to go score to win it. And just looking back now, just going into the huddle, seeing all the guys and reassuring everyone that, we've been here before, we run this drill all the time, that you just go out there and execute. And we go down, kick a game-winning field goal, and just celebrating with the guys was a lot of fun.
Those are always exciting. How is it playing a Pac-12 After Dark game? They're always so fun to watch, always exciting.
It's a lot of fun. Sometimes I wish they were played a little bit earlier, just so you could get home before 12 o'clock. But under the lights it's pretty special, and especially at Offseason where we played, it's a pretty cool environment.
So before the NFL draft, you finished the combine, you had a great senior year. What were your expectations before the draft?
That's another good question. I don't know. I would say that I wanted to go into a team that was excited to have me, and I wanted to learn the playbook so that if and when they put me in, I'd be ready to go. And when I was drafted to the Chargers, the plan was kind of for me to sit and wait a year, and I didn't really know what was going to happen. So I did my best to do everything I could to study the playbook, be a good teammate, lift, run, take care of my body, so that when I was able to go in, I'd have a shot at success.
So when you did go into the game, how were you prepared the whole week? You weren't getting first team reps because Tyrod was supposed to be the starter against the Chiefs. What was that like? They just threw you out there. How were you feeling?
Man, sorry, I just heard a funny story. I think you told it or someone told it. It was like Hunter. You went in there and Hunter Henry was like, "What are you doing here, man?"
Yeah. So it's a pretty crazy scenario, and I was warmed up. I was ready to go because I'd gone through warm-ups, but I didn't have my helmet because I wasn't expecting to go in. And Coach Lynn comes up to me about 5 to 10 seconds before the kickoff, and he goes, "Justin, you're going in." And I didn't know whether that was planned the entire week or what was going on. But I said, all right, I got to go get my helmet. And our offensive coordinator and quarterback coach came up to me and they said, knock that smile off your face, Justin. It's time to go in. And went out to the huddle and saw Hunter, and he says, "What are you doing out here?" And I was like, "Don't worry about it. I'll call the play and we're going to go run." So we go down and score, and kind of a funny situation, but it was a lot of fun.
I just remember watching that game. I was like, my dad was on the other side, he was fixing the house or something, the door, and I was like, "Hey, Dad, Herbert's in," and he's like, "What?" And he ran in the room. He ran in, and you were taking the first snap. I was like, "What is going on?"
It was pretty crazy because my mom actually missed the start of the game too because they weren't expecting me to play, and so I think my dad called her and goes, "Justin's in," and so she had to run back to the TV, and so they started watching, but I don't think anyone was expecting that.
Against the Chiefs too, and Mahomes.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
What an awesome opportunity to play against those guys, and we had them close too, which is tough, but.
Did you have a favorite moment from your rookie year? Clearly, rookie of the year, you have a ton of them. Was there one that stuck out?
I think there were a bunch towards the end. The entire rookie year was awesome, and I wish we could have won a couple more games. But the 4 in a row that we put together at the end of the year, when we beat the Falcons, the Raiders, the Broncos, and ultimately the Chiefs, we put together a pretty good winning streak, and to be a part of that was a lot of fun.
Do you think that this could be one of those moments, like in college, your first year, 7-9? Do you think it's going to be one of those upward slopes where eventually you'll?
I hope so. I think we're setting ourselves up for a pretty good shot at that, and I think we really have the potential in the locker room. And I think with this new staff that we're bringing in, I think there's a lot of pieces to the puzzle, and it's all about putting them in the right place. And I'm really excited to look forward to it.
Have you talked to your new coach yet?
Quite a bit, actually. And so he's been around the facility, and just meeting with him and talking with him, he's really exciting, brings the energy, and he really knows what he's talking about.
And I just have a question about what was it like playing? Chargers had such a hard schedule. For the first part, it was you guys were playing Breeze, Brady, Mahomes for the first couple weeks. Would you get any advice from those guys, and what was that kind of like?
Yeah, it was an insane schedule and really fun to be a part of that. And I actually talked to Patrick after the first game, and he said, Justin, I really admire the way you played. You got to learn how to slide and take away from those hits, because I took a couple of that game, and I thought that was kind of funny. And then Drew Brees and Tom Brady, and just being able to talk with those guys after the game, what a cool experience.
There was one thing that you could tell your younger self now that you wish you would have known about football. What would it be?
I'd say to go have fun. I wish that I would have been able to enjoy the game of football throughout my life, and sometimes you get worried about performing and doing your best and making sure that the team wins. And as long as you go out there and have fun, relax, and let it rip, I think good things will happen.
And you want to talk about? I just want to talk about golf too. And I'm not sure if you played golf all your life or just how's that golf been a part of your life too?
Golf's been a great escape from football. It's one of those sports that I love going out with friends, my family, my brothers especially, and just going out and having fun and not having to worry about anything. And you can spend so much time into it, and I think it's one of those great games that you can play for as long as you are. And I think it's been one of those games that has really helped me throughout the years.
Awesome. How has your off season been? What have you been up to lately?
Yeah, so for about a month, I took some time off, went golfing, just relaxed, hung out with my family. And so recently I flew back down to Southern California, started running and lifting again, and it'll be back to work here pretty soon.
For Charger fans, next season, what do you have to look forward to?
I think we've got a really exciting team. You know, I think we have a lot of the pieces of the puzzle, and we got some pretty incredible weapons at receiver and tight end, and Keenan and Mike and Hunter, and you know, I think we've got a really incredible defense as well with Derwin and Joey and Kenneth Murray as well. So a lot of pieces of the puzzle.
And I just wanted to ask about the more of the golf stuff too. With what kind of drove you here to get your clubs fitted and all that stuff, like just golfing in general. And I think you're trying out new clubs, right? Is that what you're doing?
Yeah. So out here at TaylorMade and getting a new fitting for some clubs, and kind of had a put together bag, but you know, it's a much better opportunity here, and hopefully this will help my golf game a little bit, because it's kind of been struggling the past couple of weeks.
Yeah.
That's all the questions.
Yeah, that's all.
Awesome.
Good?
Thank you.
Yeah, you bet. Thank you guys.